can we ever avoid or escape the influence of egregores? If we take the definition that an egregore is a collective attitude or consciousness, then they appear to forever manifest whenever even small groups of individuals come together for any length of time or common purpose. If we take the more technical view that egregores are only those psychic collectives that are created and fed via ritual with a specific purpose, and that they possess a preternatural intelligence at one end, then we miss the more dynamic and fluid reality of what constitutes created and ritual. It is very possible, and most likely, that the majority of egregores are born out of necessity, one might even say accidentally, and subsequently mature as formal mechanisms of acting, interacting, learning, and survival are established, not unlike other living organisms. Mark Stavish. Welcome to Occult Studies. If you enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel. If you want to learn more about egregores, please revisit our previous video. What are egregores? How do we free ourselves from them? We can learn to break the energy connection we have with an egregore and redirect that energy toward a more general, positive purpose. However, it's even more important to be clear about our goals and what we expect from joining specific groups, whether it's a street gang, a parent-teacher association, an esoteric order, or a group of artists. If we want to achieve our life goals through involvement in any organization or movement, we must first know what those goals are. Only by understanding what we want to achieve can we determine if a group will help or hold us back. Having clear goals also helps us check if our time in the group is being well spent. It's easy to get distracted by promises before we join and by other activities after we're involved. Knowing what we want to accomplish and comparing that with what's promised versus what's actually delivered helps us stay on track and avoid being used or taken advantage of. What we get from being part of a circle or an occult lodge is likely what we truly want deep down. It's important to understand why we are really joining in the first place. To free ourselves from an egregore, we need to reduce our involvement with its members, rituals, symbols, and activities. Sometimes this is easy: stop paying dues, attending meetings, or reading their materials. Groups like social or business clubs have a weaker hold than religions, and organizations we join as adults usually have less influence than those we join as kids. Each person stays in or leaves groups for personal reasons. Some connections, like school alumni associations that focus on sports, are more common but strange examples of group mind. Large egregores, like that of a nation, are harder to escape, though their influence can vary. Over time, as new priorities emerge in life, the pull of egregores weakens. Emotions drive our actions and feed egregores, so whatever we love most will consume our energy and link us to those group minds. For students of esotericism, the main challenge is separating from the egregore of a dominant religion or initiatic organizations they've been part of. This process requires focused effort, sometimes multiple attempts, and a clear understanding of why they joined originally and why they now want to leave or reduce its influence on their spiritual path. Some entities are harder to define. Are they collective consciousness or classic egregores with their own intelligence? For example, mass media has turned parts of pop culture from simple entertainment into full lifestyles. Think of people identifying as Jedi or Sith in a census, or fans devoted to music bands or celebrities. Media's goal is often to create egregores, forming movements like New Age, steampunk, or historical reenactment groups. These groups have stereotypical members and shared traits, making them easy to market and build a temporary collective mind. Due to their nature, these media-driven groups often have fleeting memberships, and most people outgrow them as new life demands arise. When someone doesn't outgrow them or lets them take over their relationships, they can become a problem. To free yourself from the influence of an egregore, especially in religious, esoteric, or political groups like National Socialism or Communism, where rituals or leader worship are involved, you need to destroy the objects connected to the group. Burning them is the main way to break the energetic link. This can be done on a personal level or for the larger group. This is why occupying armies often destroy the symbols of their defeated enemies. Examples include the French Revolution in 1789, the Soviets in Nazi Germany in 1945, Chinese Communists in Tibet in 1959, the Cultural Revolution from 1966 to 1976. While the spiritual aspect of an egregore can last without physical objects or followers, its emotional or astral presence fades without those connections. A letter was sent to physicist and magician Dr. Joseph Lisiewski and published in his journal, Howlings from the Pit. It was later republished in his book of the same name, which included articles and related correspondence. The letter, originally anonymous, highlights the subtle yet powerful influence of a magical egregore. For several years, my magical tools have been sitting in a wooden chest beneath my altar, wrapped in colored silk cloths and rarely used. I learned a great deal about myself and magic during the process of making them. In particular, I realized that the making of the tools is the true magical act, not their consecration. This discovery felt anticlimactic at best. Second, through the process of making, I learned that preparation, or the journey itself, is what truly matters. It shapes how we experience the end goal. In this case, preparing for a ritual is more important than how well we perform the ritual itself. In fact, our performance is a reflection of our preparation, as are the results. Destroying my magical tools was a small price to pay. I enjoyed making them, and they reminded me of many good times shared with friends and co-workers on the journey. To destroy them felt like moving on, and this was clear to me. So, on a Tuesday, the day of Mars, I took an ice pick and, in a clean stroke, defaced each tool after saying a short prayer, audibly thanking the tool for all it had taught me. I declared that with this stroke, its energy was released and our connection broken. The lotus wand was snapped in two, the sword hammered and bent, the blade of my dagger bent as well, the cup wrapped in its silk and smashed. All of these were consigned to water and fire to eliminate any residual etheric links. With the snapping of the lotus wand, the first tool, a tremendous amount of energy was released, and I felt freed. This was a genuine, visceral feeling. This point must be emphasized. As a result, by the end of the destruction of these tools, my sensory and mental clarity dramatically increased. My connection to the material and my ability to sense the spiritual in the material was enhanced. Most notably, I experienced a tremendous opening in my solar plexus. This opening felt like a tunnel of energy moving out from me. Somehow, like a wormhole, there was only a sense of the end points and no awareness of the line of connection itself, a link to my pituitary at the lower back of the head. That night, when I was able to perform my nightly meditation, I lit my candles and sat. As I relaxed, a distinct sphere of energy formed around me at a distance of approximately 9 feet. This happened on its own and emerged from my solar plexus. What would normally have to be initiated by me simply manifested on its own. Valentin Tomberg, author of Meditations on the Tarot, offers a simple method to free oneself from the influence of an egregore. For him, all egregores are negative, and pure devotion to Christian teachings is the only protection against negative forces, including fallen angels or demons. To protect against artificial demons or egregores, Valentin Tomberg suggests making the sign of the cross in all four directions, north, south, east, and west, and reciting the full first verse of Psalm 68. Let God arise. Let his enemies be scattered. Let those who hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, so drive them away as wax melts before fire. Let the wicked perish before God. Afterward, spin 3 times to the left and cross yourself. Though spinning may seem odd, it symbolizes breaking negative connections and banishing harmful forces. Moving to the left is associated with banishing in ritual magic, as seen in the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram developed by the Order of the Golden Dawn, where pentagrams are drawn counterclockwise for banishing. Spinning, like singing, is tied to releasing life energy. For many, a positive egregore is a spiritual refuge, a safe haven in life's storms, and should be used that way. Muni Sadhu also offers advice on avoiding negative psychic influences from magic or egregores. The Hermetic tradition recommends one universal defense against infatuation, which refers to the creation of images of people for the purpose of magical enchantment. 1. Pray. Whoever is fearless is hard to infatuate for any danger. 2. Be occupied with the defined forms in your consciousness, chosen and generated by yourself, in order that something will not be attached to you from outside. Join a certain good egregore, which corresponds to your contemplation, so that you will not be entangled with the chain of a foreign evil egregore. 3. Exercise your body reasonably. Therefore, do not be that crayfish, retreating to the puddle. Do not let the wolf and the dog frighten you, and then drops of your blood will not be strewn along the paths of service to each and everyone. Removing yourself from an egregore isn't just leaving a group, it's a complete shift in your life's goals and direction. This is difficult, similar to leaving a mind control cult. While all egregores are cults in the classical sense, not all are harmful. The emotional energy, social ties, shared goals, and sense of family make it emotionally challenging to leave an egregore, especially without support. This process isn't limited to religious or spiritual groups. It happens in everyday life. For example, some people can't move on from their high school or college years, especially those involved in sports. Beyond nostalgia, sports are ritualistic events where sexual energy is transformed into a collective psychic force, often centered around a school mascot. Cheerleading enhances this energy with music, costumes, and logos, making it like a religious ritual that unites participants under a common identity and purpose. We see a similar phenomenon with military veterans. Even years after their service, they often wear military gear, hats with logos, or have bumper stickers related to their time in the service. Mass media also creates similar cult followings around performers, shows, and movies, with fan clubs forming. The use of the term canon for original stories versus fan-created content highlights how fiction is treated like scripture. This reflects the spiritual and psychological weakness in modern culture. You can't escape an egregore's influence just by cutting contact or forgetting memories. To truly move on, you need a new life purpose to fill the gaps it leaves. Leaving an egregore is like retiring, grieving a loss, or overcoming addiction. The longer you're involved, the longer it may take to heal, sometimes up to 2 years. A rough guideline is that for every year with the egregore, it could take about a month to recover. If you want to free yourself from an unwanted influence, follow these steps. Even if you're just testing how much impact certain ideas or activities have on your life, this can help. Place all items related to the egregore in a box and store it out of sight for at least a month, ideally 6 weeks. During this time, notice where your thoughts and feelings go. Reflect on what could replace the old items. What will you do with your time? What will you create? Pay attention to both the negative feelings about leaving the egregore and the positive feelings about new possibilities. You might find balance, return, or move in a new direction. Whatever you choose will be your decision, based on self-expression and freedom. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel.